Hello everyone, I'm Johnny, and today we're taking a look at Steamboy from 2004, a steampunk anime of course. This is an anime that is beautifully animated, but despite that, it was somewhat overlooked when it was released, and that might be because the story was a bit underwhelming. Despite this, it's a really great anime and still very much worth checking out. So let's take a look. The production value of Steamboy is excellent. The director is Katsuhiro Otomo, who famously directed Akira. You should find many visual similarities throughout. Voice actors for the English dub include Anna Paquin, Alfred Molina, and Patrick Stewart, whose voice lends credibility and weight to any Victorian-era story. The story's setting is 1860s Britain, primarily Manchester and London. Visually, the production team did an incredible amount of work, taking inspiration from real Victorian England. From the steam-powered textile mills to the steam-powered canal boats and trains of the era. Even the clothing is well done. Underscoring the detail of the universe when we are introduced to Ray Steam, aka Steamboy, and his mechanical genius, we soon learn of a project he is working on. This is a steam-powered monowheel, which is brilliant because patents do exist of pedal-powered monowheels, like this one, dating back to 1869. This showcases just how much inspiration was taken from the real Victorian era for this anime. For anyone curious, this concept did end up working as a motorized design by the early 20th century. Monowheels work, but can be dangerous. Their biggest real flaw, hilariously called gerbling, is accurately displayed here. The Victorian England imagined in this anime is everything beautiful and awe-inspiring about the real era, only in overdrive. And yes, this does include nods to smog and child labor. The grandiosity of this Victorian England becomes more and more apparent as the story unfolds, particularly once our protagonist Ray Steam finds himself in London. This London has many of the historical landmarks we would recognize, only more substantial and grand. This includes anything powered by steam or made of iron. The specific setting for the story once in London is the Great Exhibition, which in our time took place in 1851, also at a Crystal Palace, originally built in Hyde Park and eventually destroyed by fire in 1936. The exhibition was to showcase the technology of the Industrial Revolution. It was the first in a series of World's Fairs and hosted figures such as Charles Darwin and Samuel Colt. It was a true symbol of the Victorian era, scientific advancement, and the Industrial Revolution, a perfect real historical setting to tie into the steampunk world. These visuals and the spectacle are the true strength of Steamboy. The steam tech is thoroughly imaginative and thought out, and when a scene can add valves, gears, and gauges to engage our imagination, it will. Steam is brought to life at every opportunity, bursting valves and warping pipes. Director Katsuhiro Otomo plays with steam the way he did with light in Akira. He further molds man and machine like he did in Akira, but this time using gears and iron. Many of the battle scenes are long and impressive, with much of the equipment and machinery itself getting as much attention as some of the main characters. You'll be treated to various tanks, airships, armored suits, and even underwater craft. This is, of course, also a weakness of the movie. Character development is lacking. Despite this, character motivation is fairly straightforward, and Ray is likable enough for you to care about what happens to him. The basic dilemma or motivation that drives the story is man's obsession with scientific advancement, with little to no concern for safety or the social impact of invention. It's an age-old theme explored with countless technological advancements, from black powder to nuclear energy, only more relevant today with artificial intelligence. The main issue with how this plays out in Steamboy is that Ray is pulled between various scientific parties, who all seem to clash with each other in a rushed and illogical way. There's his father, Dr. Edward Steam, a scientist who works for a war-profiteering American company. There's his grandfather, who wants to put a complete stop to Dr. Edward Steam and his dangerous steam castle, but often seems unhinged. Then there's the British government, who wants Ray to help them steal the technology of the steam castle for the British Empire. The technology all sides are after is that of the steam ball, which contains an extremely powerful amount of condensed steam created by a newly discovered and rare type of liquid, and this is a perfectly acceptable explanation for what is powering some of the more impractical creations in this world. It's no different than, say, Iron Man's power source in the Marvel Universe. I also appreciate how some of the steam tech malfunctions throughout a few of the action sequences, even when not pertinent to the storyline. It just adds some realism, grounding you in an otherwise surreal experience. The messaging towards the end of the story becomes messy because the story wants to point you in the direction that all those who seek to use technology for military purposes are somehow corrupt, which is a noble enough message. It's just clear there are parties far more evil than others in the story. Eddie Steam is clearly the most corrupted or blinded by science in the story. He and his steam castle end up risking the lives of nearly half of London. Then there's the castle's deliberate and dramatic attack on the pavilion, which never seemed justifiable for anyone's objectives. It's further at no point explained how this militarized steam castle was secretly built in London in the first place. Ultimately, you are left a little confused as to what the final objectives were of Dr. Steam and the American company wanting to sell their military technology to observers at the Great Exhibition. I suppose you could claim that corporate greed and scientific hubris teamed up to execute a very poor sales pitch and technological display. The movie ends rather optimistically and beautifully, despite likely a few thousand people dying. I think we're also supposed to like the Scarlett O'Hara character by the end of the movie, who kind of had a redemption arc and gave Ray someone to save in the final scene. But I personally, and bet most people will agree, you just can't get over her hitting her dog, and more than once too, at the beginning of the movie. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching. Do check out Steamboy. The story has a few holes in it, but I don't think overall it really matters. The story or the anime is beautiful and immersive, and it does leave you wishing they made a sequel. Anyway, if you want to help my self-esteem, do hit the like button, but most importantly, do take care and have a nice rest of your day.